I remember the stage lights, a warm embrace as I spun, every muscle singing. Dance wasn't just my job. It was the air I breathed, the legacy of generations. My grandmother, then my mother, had dreamed of this, but it was I, Anya, who stood at the peak, poised for the performance that would define my career. My body, finely tuned and strong, was my instrument, my identity. I felt invincible. My sister, Alara, was always there, a quiet shadow just off to the side. We shared a bond, a history, but also an unspoken tension. While I soared, she watched, a smile always on her lips, yet her eyes held something I could never quite read. She was my confidante, my biggest fan, or so I believed. I often wondered if she ever wished for my spotlight. The Gala of Stars was only weeks away, my chance to secure a permanent place in history. Every practice was intense, every movement critical. Ilara, ever the supportive sister, offered her help. "Let me set up your practice space today, Anya," she'd said. "You focus on your artistry." I appreciated her thoughtfulness, trusting her completely with my sanctuary. I stepped onto the polished studio floor, the familiar chill a comfort. The music swelled, and I lost myself in the routine. This was my life's masterpiece, every step precise, every leap soaring. Ilara sat quietly in the corner, a book open on her lap, occasionally glancing up. I felt a surge of energy, ready to push my limits. This was it, the final run-through before the big day. Then a sudden, sickening jolt. My foot found nothing but air where solid ground should have been, a patch of unexpected slickness, or perhaps something loose underfoot. The world spun. Pain, sharp and immediate, erupted through my leg as I hit the floor with a terrifying thud. The music stopped. My body, my temple, had betrayed me. The sterile white walls of the hospital were a stark contrast to my vibrant world. The doctor's words were a death knell, permanent nerve damage, career-ending. My future shattered. Ilara was there, her face a mask of profound sorrow, holding my hand, whispering, "Oh, Anya, my poor sister." Her tears seemed endless, her sympathy overwhelming. I felt numb. Weeks bled into months. My home, once a vibrant space of movement and music, became a cage. The grief was a heavy blanket, suffocating my spirit. Ilara was a constant presence, bringing food, helping with therapy exercises, always with a mournful sigh. "It was just a terrible accident, Anya," she'd say. "No one could have seen it coming." Her words echoed, trying to soothe, but somehow they just made my heart ache more. I looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. The dancer, the athlete, the artist, she was gone. My identity, once so clear, had dissolved. Ilara would gently remind me of my limitations. "You were so lucky it wasn't worse, you know." Her comfort felt like a subtle erosion, slowly chipping away at any hope I tried to cling to, reinforcing the idea that this was simply my fate. One quiet afternoon, a memory surfaced, sharp and unwelcome. I remembered Ilara, just before my final rehearsal, wiping down a small section of the floor, not where I usually started. She had smiled, saying, "Just making sure everything is perfect for you, sis." It had seemed so thoughtful then. Now, a tiny, cold knot formed in my stomach. The faulty equipment narrative suddenly felt incomplete. Confined to my new reality, my mind, once focused on pirouettes and grand jetés, now turned to questions. Why that spot? Why then? Ilara's constant sympathy, her unwavering narrative of a tragic accident, began to feel like a carefully constructed wall. A quiet, terrifying suspicion started to bloom in the barren landscape of my shattered life. I had to know the truth, no matter how painful. My mind wouldn't rest. The seed of doubt Ilara had planted, then tried to bury with her false sympathy, was now a thorny vine. My physical world had shrunk, but my inner world was alight with a fierce need for truth. I started my own quiet investigation. I couldn't dance, but I could still think, still piece things together. Every memory, every casual comment Ilara had made, I pulled them apart, looking for the threads of deceit. I requested the studio's maintenance logs from the week of my accident. The manager, a kind man, sent them over without question. My hands trembled as I read. Most entries were routine. But then, a line caught my eye. Special floor treatment applied to Studio 3, Section B, by staff. Section B was exactly where I fell. Ilara was the only staff who had been in my studio that day, supposedly helping me. A cold dread settled in my stomach. I remembered Ilara's insistence on me using a new pair of point shoes she'd found for me, claiming they were extra grippy. I pulled them from my old dance bag. They felt strangely smooth, almost oily, not at all like new shoes. I tested them on a small patch of floor. They slid. This wasn't a coincidence. This was deliberate. My sister had tampered with my equipment, creating a deadly trap. The anger was a slow, burning fire within me. The pieces clicked into place with a horrifying certainty. The floor treatment, the slick shoes, Ilara's feigned concern, her constant presence. It wasn't a tragic accident. It was a meticulously planned act of sabotage. My own sister, the one who held my hand in the hospital, had orchestrated my downfall. The realization was a gut punch, stealing my breath. How could someone I loved, someone I trusted, harbor such venomous intent? My world, already broken, shattered into even smaller fragments. I called Ilara, asking her to come over. My voice was steady, but my heart pounded. When she arrived, I looked her in the eye. "Ilara," I said, "I know you sabotaged my performance. I know you caused my accident." Her face went through a rapid series of emotions: shock, denial, then a terrifying rage. "You always thought you were so special," she shrieked, her voice cracking. "Always the golden child. I just wanted you to feel what it was like to be nothing." Her words were a chilling confirmation. My parents walked in just as Ilara's confession hung in the air. They stared aghast. "Ilara, what are you saying?" my mother whispered. I showed them the maintenance log, the shoes. My father picked them up, his brow furrowed in disbelief. Ilara, seeing her lies crumble, tried to backtrack, to gaslight, but her earlier outburst had been too raw. The truth was undeniable. My parents looked between us, their faces etched with a profound, painful realization. The family was broken. The confrontation was over, but my fight wasn't. I needed more than my family's shaken belief. I needed irrefutable evidence to expose Ilara to the world. I hired a private investigator, a quiet woman with sharp eyes. We meticulously gathered everything: more detailed logs, witness statements from studio staff who recalled Ilara's unusual presence, even old texts where Ilara had subtly questioned my dedication. The case against her grew stronger with every piece. I decided to go public. It was a terrifying thought, but I couldn't let Ilara's cruelty remain hidden. I drafted a statement with my lawyer, carefully detailing the events, the evidence, and the profound betrayal. It wasn't about revenge, I told myself, but about clearing my name and finding justice. I chose the anniversary of my accident, a day that had once marked my devastation, to become the day of Ilara's reckoning. The news broke like a storm. Headlines screamed prima ballerina's accident, siblings' vicious sabotage. The evidence was irrefutable. The public, who had followed my career and mourned my fall, now turned their collective outrage on Ilara. Sympathy poured in for me, a wave of support that was both overwhelming and healing. Ilara's carefully crafted image as the supportive sister shattered, revealing the monstrous truth beneath. It was a painful vindication. My body still bore the scars, but my spirit, once crushed, now felt a fierce, quiet strength. The weight of Ilara's lies had lifted. I found a new purpose: starting a foundation to help other athletes rebuild their lives after career-ending injuries. Ilara faced the legal consequences of her actions, her life in ruins, her name synonymous with betrayal. It wasn't the life I had planned, but it was a life I had reclaimed, built on truth and resilience. A bittersweet peace settled over me, a testament to surviving the deepest betrayal.